Iron Cross from Strategy and Tactics Magazine, number 132. Iron Cross is a man-to-man wargame covering infantry battles on a tactical level between German and Soviet forces in Russia during 1941 and 1942. Okay, let's take a look at movement. So I have a German rifleman here. Now, it's a rifleman because of the R on the middle left. Every individual soldier has a name in the top left. Lutyens in this case. So there is not movement information on the soldier counter itself. So let's start with the soldier in the open right here, like that. So the phasing player may attempt to move his units during the movement phase. The non-phasing player may attempt to move his units during the reaction movement phase. Units expend their movement points. Moving from hex to adjacent hex, units are always moved individually, except when affected by a leader. Okay, let's go back and let's talk about how many movement points we get. So what is a movement allowance? Infantry, normal status infantry units. So remember, this is normal status. We know it's normal status because, let's talk about statuses again. Unit states, combat states. So combat states. This is the rifleman in the up state. Flip it over. It's in its down state. So I'll put them back to up. Normal status. So normal is performs actions normally. Let's see. Okay. Up and down are considered combat states. Morale status. Okay. Let's start over here. It's a little. Unit states. All units will be in one of two combat states, up or down state. Okay, that's interesting. So what I would think of as posture is combat state. Combat state of up and down. Okay. The front of the combat unit, black print, is the up. Okay. Back, white print is down. All units will also be in one of three morale statuses, normal, pinned, or suppressed. Okay. Normal is no marking, pinned, or suppressed. Okay. 3 morale statuses, 2 combat states. Okay. So normal status infantry units like this may expend 6 movement points in the movement phase and 3 movement points in the reaction movement phase. This is see if it's summarized. Let's see if it is. Yes, it is summarized, as a matter of fact. Okay, so what we're talking about is infantry in a normal status. Infantry, up or down. Yeah, up or down, normal status. During the movement phase, 6 movement points. Reaction movement phase, half of that. And so then we go down. Infantry pinned, 3 movement points or 1 hex. Suppressed, no movement, and then crew weapons and AFVs. Okay. Let's see. Movement restrictions. Any of the phasing players' units that fired in the support fire. Okay, I haven't gotten to the sequence of play yet. So these, okay, so that's just movement allowance, okay. So that's how many movement points they have to expend. Now let's get back to units are always moved individually except when affected by a leader. So let's talk about leaders. So this is interesting. I'm not sure. I doubt a game would be made like this today. Here's our leader right there. So again, here's our soldier. Comes from Unit D. That's the D on the middle right here. The leader looks identical, except that he has PL for platoon leader. The MP, by the way, by the way, is, again, he's not a rifleman, he has a machine pistol. But there it is, PL, platoon leader. That's the leader. Otherwise, they don't look any different. So the idea here is when a leader is stacked, so I'm going to grab another rifleman. Here's Poppin. So I grab Poppin. You know. I'm not sure if they have to be in the same unit or not, but let's just say Poppin and Lutyens here are part of the same formation. They're stacked with leader, Tome. Okay, so the basic idea is when a leader is stacked with other units, the leader's PR, that's performance rating, again high at 11, very high at 11, may be used, the player's option, for the movement PC, performance check, to move the units with which he is stacked. Procedure, the leader takes a PC, right? So it's 11, almost very hard to fail, rolls a 9, still passes the check. If he fails, no unit in the hex may move at all, but are considered to have moved for the remainder of their turn. So let's just say, we'll use the examples. They roll boxcars, they do not move, and yet they are still marked as moved still for the turn. Okay. And we go back to passing. So if he passes, he may move, and any other unit stacked with him may move, provided they remain with the leader throughout the entire move. They do not take, PC. The units do not take a PC. That's easy. You're just using the leader's performance rating, and then they can move together like that. Not bad. And then they're marked moved. Okay. If there are units in the stack that wish to move but not with the leader, okay, so there are other rules there, but that's the basic idea. So now let's go back to normal movement. Okay, so this is interesting. So we're back to normal movement. That is an individual soldier moving, like Poppin here. Did I get his name right? Poppin, yeah. Okay, so anytime a unit attempts to move, it must take a PC, performance check. Leaders may be used to increase the unit's chance of moving. We already saw that. Exception. At the beginning of the game, no units are required to pass a PC for movement until either side rolls the dice to resolve combat, i.e. the first shot. That's interesting, and I like it. PCs for movement must be taken by the next phasing player. So again, Poppin here has a PR performance rating of 8. Roll a 3. He's moving. Let's see. So let's go back to the normal movement in general. During all movement phases, some types of units must be moved before others. Okay, so there is a movement sequence. First, move all AFEs that are moving alone. Next, move all AFE and infantry stacks moving together. And last, all other infantry and crude weapon units. So back to, so call me crazy, but there are a lot of nice little touches that I see here. We'll see how it actually plays when we pull it all together. Back to the movement point allowance chart again. So it's broken up by unit type. And there's a nice little summary here of your type. So infantry units are machine pistols, rifles, light machine guns, flamethrowers, crude weapons, or medium machine guns, anti-tank rifle, and mortars. Yeah, mortars. And then AFEs. And then we have broken down here is the morale status. So up or down, pin suppressed, up or down, pin suppressed, up, down, suppressed. Okay. During the movement phase and reaction movement phase, and you have a movement allowance or a 1 hex allowance. Okay, that looks to be the basics right there. So involved are performance checks. Involved is basically the leader advantages for movement, for directing movement. Yeah, that's about it. Oh, while I'm talking about movement, I guess I'll talk about stacking. It's not that involved. So stacking is this: crude weapons. I guess I should probably show a crude weapon now. So let's take the German. Not that one. Let's take a basic. There we go. Medium machine gun. Okay, so let's first look at the medium machine gun itself. So crude weapons are different, and they're probably not obvious off the bat how they're handled. First of all, unlike other small unit tactical games, these do not represent just the weapon itself. This represents the weapon and the crew. So what we have here is the ID medium machine gun 2. 18 is the initial range, just like a rifleman. So 18 in this case. Then we have the graphic, and we have a tiny 3 and a 5. The 3 on the top is the crew size. So 3 soldiers are represented with the machine gun itself here. Underneath the 5 is the movement factor. Is that shown? Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's a note of that on the movement point allowance chart. Okay, so the movement factor or allowance is on the crude weapon units. And then we have 13, that's the same AP factor. 1 is the assault rating, and 9 is the performance rating. Okay, so these 3 are the same as the individual rifleman. Okay, back to stacking. Crude weapons and infantry units may move through other friendly units without penalty. AFV units, now I'm just going to show one, but I'm not going to go through AFVs. I'm not interested at all I'm interested in this as an infantry game, not a AFV game, armored game, whatever you want to call it. Just not interested. AFV units may not enter a hex containing another AFV unit. An AFV may push a wreck out of a hex, blah, blah. At the end of any friendly movement phase or reaction movement phase, a player may have, so this is the stacking limit, no more than 6 men plus 1 AFV in a hex. So let's do the max. We'll say 1 AFV. Oh, AFVs have facing. So they face a hex side, hex side. So 1 AFV. The crew served weapon, again, represents 3 soldiers because of the crew size, 3. And then Lutyens, riflemen, we're up to 4, what do they call it, 4 infantry units. So each infantry unit counts as 1 man, and each crude weapon represents 2 to 4 men, as shown on the, okay, so we're AFV and 4 soldiers, AFV and 5 soldiers, AFV and 6 soldiers. There we go. At the end of any friendly movement phase or reaction movement phase, a player may have no more than 6 men plus 1 AFV in a hex. Just while I'm talking about it, I should point out these crew-served weapons, they can lose crew members. We don't have markers to show that. We actually have a separate roster, which we'll look at the roster when it becomes more directly relevant. But there is there's a paper roster that you keep on the side so if this medium machine gun lost one of its crew members, so it went from 3 down to 2, that would be marked off map. That's pretty much it for stacking. Again, facing ATGs, so anti-tank guns, machine guns. Oh, machine guns too. I should have paid attention to that. So the AFV faces a hex side. The medium machine gun faces a hex side. Let's say the medium machine gun's in this house and faces this hex side. And AFVs. Oh, so even the individual. There we go. Even the individual. Let's go right. Let's add the light machine gun, LMG. 1 soldier, LMG, marks here. Even the LMG faces a hex, so maybe let's say the LMG is in this house, face that way, and AFEs must face a hex side. So these soldiers don't face any particular hex side. They're just individual soldiers and a leader in this case. So there is facing for some units.